Good morning, I'm Maddie Jansen, and this is the podcast of 17 News at Sunrise. It's everything you need to know to start your day in about 15 minutes.
Working in the spirit of the Golden Empire, this is 17 News at Sunrise.
And it still haven't processed it. It still hasn't, really gone through that, we survived this,
Tragedy at a Northern California food fest. 4 people, including the suspected shooter, dead after he opened fire at the Gilroy Garlic Festival. More than a dozen others hurt, and this morning, the search for a second suspected shooter continues.
A grisly discovery in the Kern River. Crews pull an SUV from the water and a man's body is inside. Now the questions remain about who the man is and how the car ended up in the river.
And without water, the reason a water boil advisory remains in effect for people in Northeast Bakersfield this morning. This is Monday, July 29th, 2019. Glad to have you with us this morning. I'm Tabitha Mills in for Maddie Jansen alongside Alex Fisher.
Yeah, Maddie is enjoying her birthday, so she has a well-deserved day off. And of course, it was very hot yesterday. I think we can all agree that it was pretty extreme out there yesterday.
It was pretty miserable, Kevin.
Yeah, the good news is we'll get a little bit of relief today, but it was definitely hot. Take a look at this temperature, guys. 110 degrees was Sunday's high. The record on that date, 118, set back in 1908. So we were 8 degrees off the record, but it was still scorching hot. 79 degrees out there right now. It is a warm start for you, an easterly wind at 3. As we take a look at the day, I expect 70s to start out the morning at 7 a.m., 95 at noon, and by 3 o'clock we'll be right near 100. As we take a look at Tehachapi, 63 right now. You have a westerly wind at 6. I do expect the breeze to pick up a little bit this afternoon. You're going to start out in the upper 50s, 88 at noon, and by 3 o'clock, sunny, a west wind at 14, and a temperature right near 90. We'll talk much more about your weather coming up in just a little bit, but first let's get a check of your morning commute. We're going to send that over to Alex.
All right, thanks so much, Kevin, taking you outside for the first time this morning on this Monday. And as you can see, Highway 99 near White Lane, it's looking pretty busy for this time of morning, but it's looking pretty clear. We do have a car fire that's going to be on Lincoln Street near William Street that looks like CHP is responding to. This all happened about an hour ago, a little less than an hour ago, but it looks like everything is off to the side of the road, and it looks like everyone inside that vehicle is out, which is the good news. So just be mindful of that if you're headed that way. Other than that, things are looking pretty good to start off your Monday morning. We'll have another check of your commute coming up in about 15 minutes.
A disturbing discovery in the Kern River Canyon. After an hours-long effort, CHP and Kern County Sheriff's Search and Rescue pulled an SUV with a body inside of it out of the Kern River this weekend. 17's Karen has the details.
About 3 miles up the Kern River Canyon, an SUV with a man inside was pulled out of the river Sunday afternoon. Who the man is and why the car got in the river is something officials are still investigating.
It was Saturday afternoon when drivers in the Kern River Canyon saw this and called CHP.
The vehicle was fully submerged in the river, but was still visible from the roadway.
This silver Dodge SUV was pulled out of the river with a man inside.
The identity of that male will come through the Kern County Coroner's Office.
It was an extraction that took hours and blocked traffic and left many unanswered questions.
We don't know how long that SUV had been submerged underwater or at what time, or even, we're still trying to determine the exact point of entry.
The details are still murky, but there have been some comparisons to the disappearance of John Wooner, the McFarland city manager, missing for 2.5 months. The 57-year-old was last seen May 14th at Hillcrest Cemetery in Bakersfield. According to BPD, he was last seen driving a silver Dodge Durango, California license plate 1390353. CHP says the car pulled out, also a silver Dodge SUV, but they did not specify the exact model, and they say the license plates were missing. Despite similarities between the vehicles, CHP says accidents in the Kern River Canyon do happen quite frequently.
It can be very, very dangerous and very treacherous for somebody to easily go off the roadway if they're driving or taking a curve a little too hot.
McFarland City Council has since placed Wooner on administrative leave and appointed interim city manager David Tooley.
If you have any information that could help investigators, you're urged to call BPD at 327-7111. At the Kern River Canyon, Karen 17 News.
And it has happened again. A mass shooting at what was meant to be a fun, festive weekend celebrating garlic. Instead, 4 people are dead, and a massive manhunt continues this morning for a person police say was another possible shooter. This all happened yesterday at the annual Garlic Festival in Gilroy, about 33 miles south of San Jose in the Bay Area, and right near Highway 101 and Pacheco Pass. The festival happens every year at Christmas Hill Park. And this year, it was the 40th anniversary. Let's take a closer look at what witnesses saw in the ongoing search for the second suspected shooter.
Whoa, people are running. They're scared.
Chaos and terror at a Northern California food festival. This is some of the first video we saw emerge from the scene at the Gilroy Garlic Festival yesterday as people ran for safety after hearing what they say sounded like fireworks. But they weren't.
This is actually crazy.
But I didn't get a look straight on him. We just saw the side. If we would have screamed, he could have turned and shot us because he was perfect lined up with us. God sent us to go to the bathroom, so we missed being right at, the spot that they got shot because we were there all day long.
Police responded in a matter of seconds, but it was too late. 4 people, including one of the suspected gunmen, were killed. 15 others were wounded. Alberto Romero says his wife and mother-in-law were shot but expected to be okay. His son, Steven, did not survive. He was 6 years old.
What's going through my mind is hopefully they get the shooters. And basically that's it right now. And I lost my son. There's nothing I really can do besides try to be with him until I could put him in his resting spot, wherever that is. My son had his whole life to live, and he was only 6.
This is one of those press conferences you never want to have to give in your community. And it's sort of a nightmare that you hope you never have to live in reality, but unfortunately we find ourselves in circumstances where we have to live this today. Incredibly sad and disheartening that an event that does so much good for our community has to suffer from a tragedy like this.
Gilroy police say they believe the shooter cut through the fence to gain access to the festival. This morning, the FBI and dozens of officers from agencies around the state remain on scene. Now, a massive manhunt is underway, searching for a possible second shooter.
And Gilroy police plan to hold another news conference later today. Meantime, in response to the shooting, Governor Gov Newsom tweeted about the Garlic Festival shooting in Gilroy, saying, quote, "This is nothing short of horrific. Tonight, California stands with the Gilroy community. My office is monitoring the situation closely. Grateful for the law enforcement's efforts and their continued work as this situation develops." And the president also tweeted last night, saying in part, "Law enforcement is at the scene of the shootings in Gilroy. Be careful and safe."
Bakersfield is gathering one final time to celebrate the life of a beloved car dealer killed in Mexico. The family of Jose Arredondo is holding a celebration of life service today for their husband and father on what would have been his birthday. Arredondo was killed 2 weeks ago at his condo in Cabo San Lucas. Mexican authorities haven't released an autopsy report, but they do confirm he was beaten and stabbed with a sharp object. His death remains under investigation in Mexico. Today's service begins at 6 p.m. at New Life Church on Stein Road.
Still out this morning on Sunrise, parts of Bakersfield under a water boil advisory. We'll tell you if you're one of the affected customers.
Plus, 2 police officers on opposite ends of the world dead. Their connections to California and the investigations into their sudden and tragic deaths.
All right, let's take a look at your morning commute. Take you outside, show you how things are shaping up on the 99 at Airport Drive. And as you can see, it's looking pretty clear on that side of town to start off your Monday morning. Everything else around the county looking pretty good. Start off this new day. We'll have another check coming up in about 15 minutes.
Well, people in part of Northeast Bakersfield are still without water this morning.
The reason a water boil advisory remains in effect and who is affected, that's still to come.
Welcome back. CHP Bakersfield personnel are mourning the loss of one of their own after a public safety dispatcher died on Wednesday. Now his loved ones share stories of his legacy, recalling his commitment to helping others and putting smiles on the faces of people he knew and loved deeply.
He was the light of our comm center, and he was
really the glue that held this place together.
When it came to working with public safety dispatcher Justin Slayton, there was never a dull moment on the job.
He would kill me if I shared everything that was so funny. He had a phenomenal sense of humor, personality. We definitely worked, but in between we had so much fun.
Humor so contagious, it captured the heart of his wife, Veronica Slayton, over 15 years ago.
As cliche as it sounds, it was literally like love at first sight.
CHP Bakersfield shared the news of Slayton's death on Friday after he died unexpectedly in his sleep on Wednesday. While his colleagues and loved ones wrestle with grief, one thing about Slayton couldn't go left unsaid.
He was the person that the officers wanted behind the radio. He was the person you wanted behind the phone when you were calling 911. As a dispatcher, he was the person you wanted sitting next to you.
His legacy goes beyond a passion for helping others. As a husband and father of 3, made it his mission to make his family smile.
That was one of the things that just was most magnetic about him, was he had this super charismatic personality, but I was always laughing around him. Always. He always had me in my cheeks hurting because we were laughing all the time.
And Slayton's daughter, London, proof of a household full of laughter as she recalls their frequent daddy-daughter time together.
We watch a movie, one of his favorite movies. One of his favorite movies were Heavyweights. I don't know if any of you have seen that.
His love for his kids evident at work, too, after his family found a sweet surprise inside his locker.
He has mementos taped up in there that I didn't even know he had. And every drawing, every note, every Post-it note that the kids have ever written him is hanging in there. And so it's just this amazing little box that we've all been trying to preserve because it's just so unbelievable.
The tragedy unexpected, but Slayton's family and colleagues remain resilient, finding peace and remembering a public servant that lived selflessly on and off the clock.
He was just an amazing person. We can't stress that enough. I mean, he had so much love and believed in everything he did. He gave 100% always, and he wanted everybody to be happy. That was what made him happy.
That was Vanessa Dillon reporting. Slayton's family has set up a GoFundMe page to cover funeral expenses, and we've posted that link on our website, kget.com.
A precautionary water boil advisory remains in effect this morning for some people living in northeast Bakersfield. Cal Water says this is affecting people living in the outlined part on this map in the utilities 660 zone. This all started around 5 o'clock Saturday night. Customers reported low water pressure or no water at all. Cal Water crews say the issue was caused by a malfunction in the computerized system that tracks tank levels and pressurizes the water. People living in this area should boil all tap water used for drinking, brushing teeth, and food preparation for at least 1 minute. Then always allow that water to cool before using it. Cal Water reports that tap water used in showering, bathing, and other household cleanup is safe to use without boiling. To find out if your home's water system is affected, you can head to our website, kget.com, for a link to the Cal Water map.
Because Cal Water issued that precautionary boil water advisory, the company is holding bottled water distributions for those directly affected by this temporary outage. The distribution center will be open again today at Noble Elementary School beginning at 8 this morning. That's located at 1015 Noble Avenue. Cal Water will be giving away water to residents until 8 this evening.
As we restore pressure and get customers back in water, then they are encouraged to either boil the water in their homes for 1 minute if they're going to consume it, obviously let it cool down beforehand, or they can come here to this location, receive bottled water. They can also purchase bottled water and hold their receipts, and we will reimburse them.
Cal Water representatives say the boil water advisory is solely a precautionary measure. Customers are not obligated to abide by it, but are highly encouraged to do so.
KGET Business Watch is brought to you by Grapevine MSP Technology Services, the Valley's leading IT service provider.
Good morning, News 17 Business Watch. For many parents, back-to-school shopping can be nearly as stressful as the holiday shopping season. Back-to-school spending can wreak havoc on a family's budget, and for many parents, the pressure is on to spend more than they're comfortable with. According to a new report by Bankrate.com, 43% of parents have felt pressured to overspend when it comes to shopping for back-to-school items. The report finds that millennial parents, ages 23 to 38, are the most likely to have felt the squeeze to overspend. That's compared to 39% of older parents. Experts say it's always important to identify your spending triggers and set limits. Walmart and Nordstrom are trying out new stores where customers can't shop. Walmart's newly opened prototype, called a Walmart Pickup Point, is located outside Chicago. Not only do customers not go inside, they don't even get out of their cars. Instead, an employee comes out and loads whatever items they've already ordered into their car. Both Walmart and Nordstrom also offer buy online pickup in store at their traditional brick and mortar locations.